We're going to mix up some moisture vapor primer and crack filler powder so we can do some crack repair. So we're going to mix right now. We're just going to do 16 ounces of part A and 8 ounces of part B. We'll have 24 ounces of the epoxy. Then we're going to mix 24 ounces of the crack filler powder. Okay, we've mixed the epoxy. Now we're going to add 24 ounces of the crack filler powder. So 1-to-1 ratio with the epoxy. And that'll make a nice semi-pourable paste. So it's almost kind of self-leveling. Then you just walk around with the putty knife. Always kind of mix it in a 2-quart or bigger pail so your putty knife will fit in there. We're going to use a 4-inch putty knife and just go around and fill all the cracks, and then if we have any left over, we can use it to fill holes and use it up. After you mix your moisture vapor primer and crack filler powder, go ahead and take a putty knife and just dip into the bucket and put some over the crack and then press it in. We're trying to fill the crack twice as deep as it is wide. And then we feather everything on the surface to 0, so we don't want to leave any buildup on the surface. When you're going over stamped concrete with crack repair, it's important to try to dig out all the epoxy from the texture around the crack so you don't fill in the stamp texture. It's easy to do when you're using crack filler powder instead of silica sand. Silica sand's more gritty and harder to feather to 0. Leaves a lot of grit on the surface that you usually have to sand off later. The crack filler powder allows the moisture vapor primer to stay more flexible, and it's easy to feather to 0 so you don't have any grit up on the surface. When filling larger cracks, you can mix the epoxy moisture vapor primer with more of the crack filler powder to make a thicker paste, so it doesn't just run down and lose it all somewhere below the surface. So we made a little thicker mix here so we can patch this wider crack and not have the crack repair material sink too much. We mixed up some of our moisture vapor primer and crack filler powder, and we have some holes here. We could fill those with the FC resurfacer or FC patch, but we had some leftover crack repair epoxy, so that also makes a great patching mix, so you don't have to waste it. So we're just going to look for any places like this that are broken and fix those either with the epoxy moisture vapor primer crack mix or with FC patch or FC resurfacer. So we've gone around and filled all the cracks we can find. Now we're ready to start rolling the moisture vapor primer over this surface. We pressure washed it a few hours ago. It's a nice day, about 80 degrees, 75, 80 degrees. So the pressure washing dried pretty quick. I usually like to give the surface at least 2 or 3 hours if the sun's out to dry after we pressure wash before doing the primer. So while we're waiting for it to dry, we're doing the crack repairs. Give the surface a little more time to dry before we prime everything.